Hey guys, in part one of my conversation with Laura Polko, we talk all about diabetes, putting a new face to diabetes, how the symptoms of PMS are linked to insulin resistance. So even if you're not diabetic, you'll want to listen to this. Why getting diagnosed as a kid could be better, maybe, than getting diagnosed later in life like I did. We talk about diabulimia. Never heard of that, but now I have, and you will too. And whether shots or insulin pumps are better for you. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are so excited for today's show with a new friend that I made. But first, our quote of the day. No matter how old you are, no matter how much you weigh, you can still control the health of your body. Dr. Harvey Cushing. Well, we're going to talk all about controlling our body and how challenging that can be. With my new friend, Laura Polko. She's a leading celebrity hairstylist based here in Los Angeles. Her impressive clientele includes stars like Gigi and Bella Hadid, Priyanka Chopra, Adriana Lima, and more. Laura's work has been featured worldwide in publications like Harper's Bazaar, GQ, and Cosmopolitan, just to name a few. But just like me, Laura is also living with type 1 diabetes. And today we're going to be discussing our journeys as type 1 diabetics to help raise awareness and inspire others in their journey as well. And also kind of just to have that chat, girl to girl, about what it's like to go through this and the highs and lows of it all. And so I hope it helps you feel less alone like it's helped me. Laura, we met a week ago at an event. And you noticed I had a glucose monitor on, and you started asking me questions about being type 1.
Yeah.
And I discovered that you were type 1.
Yeah.
You were wearing long sleeves to hide yours.
Yes.
Because you don't like getting the questions.
Oh my God, I hate the questions. It's just like an invitation to talk about, because typically it's not, two type 1s talking to each other. It's, oh, hey, you have diabetes. So does my dad. So does my grandpa. It's always like, then you end up in a story that I'm like, yeah, okay. And I've spent my whole life kind of not making it, a point of contention about this is a big part of my personality. So it was interesting that I, of course, did that to you.
Yeah.
When it's something that I'm, sensitive about when people do it to me.
I wonder, why do you think you did it to me then?
I don't know. I noticed you in the elevator when we both walked in, and I saw it. I was like, oh, interesting, because I felt like you would have already kind of really talked about it, or I would have known, because there's a couple people, like the Nick Jonases.
There's just a few of us.
Yeah, there's only a few. So I was like, oh, I wonder what, if this is new, or I honestly thought maybe you were wearing it to just track, how people are wearing it now.
A lot of people are, yeah.
So I kind of thought that's why you were wearing it, honestly.
Well, I asked you that because I wondered if you were like thinking what I thought, which is why I brought you on the show today, is we're not usually confronted with type 1 diabetics that look like us.
Well, that's exactly why I thought you were doing it for fitness. I was like, I wonder if she's like tracking her insulin and like insulin resistance with her workouts, because, you definitely don't look like diabetes.
Yeah. And neither do you. I mean, listen, all I know is like my dad, I did have younger cousins with it. But especially like even in this industry, like I never really come across anybody that has it. And then I was like, I want to pick her brain. I want to know everything, because you've had it since you were young.
Yeah.
You were diagnosed at 8, you said?
8.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had it for almost 30 years, which is crazy.
Yeah. And I was just diagnosed. Thank you, COVID vaccine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, COVID. And yeah, there were a lot of type 1 diabetics. Actually, I think it was like 42% of people, I read a statistic. I don't remember where, but I read a statistic that something like 42% of people got diabetes after COVID. Like a massive amount. And I was telling it to a nurse in the hospital, and she goes, oh, so did I. And I had to reverse it. But it was like a lot of type 2 that I heard of. I didn't know how many type 1ers there were.
Interesting.
But, from what we've learned is it goes to your weakest places. So I was always in and out of prediabetes. My A1C would be a little high, like maybe a 5.8, 5.9.
Yeah, like just
the most.
enough.
But I didn't understand that when your A1C is in prediabetes, and this is how I described it to the top researcher. We had him on the show. It's like the levee is breaking.
Okay.
And if you just keep giving it that sugar, and you keep giving it that junk, and you keep doing all the wrong things for your autoimmune system, the levee's going to break. And he goes, that's exactly what happens. It's like, and I said, okay, so your beta cells, I go, they quiet quit. And he goes, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Your beta cells are quiet quitting until they're all gone. And I was like, whoa. So
they just stopped showing up to work.
Yeah. So, mine were definitely like striking here and there, it sounds like. And then that just took it over the edge. What came first, the pancreas cancer or the type 1 diabetes? I don't know, because it all was diagnosed around the same time, within 6 months of each other. So who knows? But also I think mine is a very strange version. I think mine's a little type 1, type 2 mixed.
Well, don't they have a type that...
I think it's type 3.
I think type 3 is
that's Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Which I'm like, does that mean I don't like, what is like, that like brings the fear all back. Like I just got diagnosed again. I'm like, oh my God, what's that mean?
Yeah.
But no, I think there's a type 1.5.
Yes, that's what I think.
1.5.
Like, is that LADA or LADA? That might be LADA, but that's what we're kind of wondering.
Yeah, because you kind of like, and what you were saying to me before you had the pancreas cancer, like you were able to manage, make it go away, but there was an insulin dependence, it sounded like, but then you could manage it with food and diet.
Eventually, I was diagnosed the end of June 2 years ago. By October, I was off all insulin. So
yeah, that's what you said.
I ate like a bird. I ate so keto. Without knowing what I was doing. I just wanted to use the least amount of insulin possible so that maybe my pancreas would regenerate.
Right.
Because I was like, okay, I'm newly diagnosed. First, I was pissed and I was so depressed. I bawled my guts out. I didn't even cry over a brain tumor. I cried over diabetes because I watched my dad almost die every day of low blood sugar attacks. And so when I got diagnosed, I'm like, F that. I quit sugar 2 years ago. This isn't supposed to happen. But so I'm like, forget it. I'm going to eat whatever I want then and just do all the insulin in the world.
I was just going to say, I feel like everybody has these exact waves. It's like the waves of grief in a different way.
Yeah.
It's like first you're mad. You're like, why me? You start feeling like a victim. I remember that as a kid being like, why me? And especially when I was a kid, like
nobody
had it. I was different. I had to like stop and eat a snack and everyone like looks at you. They're like, you need to take your shot. Like it was a thing and you don't want to be different. And also no one was different. This was even before everyone had like a peanut allergy.
Yeah.
This was like way before. And then you go through the phase of, okay, I think I can beat this. There's definitely, I think everybody has it. I think I can beat
At
this.
8, you thought that?
Yeah, well, throughout the course of all of this.
Okay.
I would say over the course of like 10 years.
Wow.
Like I went through all these waves of like, okay, you can beat this. And then there's the like complete denial phase. But mine was a little easier because it was before the CGM. So I could just not test.
Yeah.
And then like, what you don't know
won't hurt you. So you would just fly.
Well, that was like high school too, You're like, I just want to go hang out with my friends and go eat junk food after school. Like,
and you did?
Yeah, and I would.
And you wouldn't check your blood sugar?
No.
So
and,
it probably could have gone up to 400 or 500 easy. With
I mean,
food.
I'm sure at a certain point, I definitely had like highs like that.
Did you get really bad headaches?
I think it was just like, I like
it just becomes
wasn't
normal.
Thinking about it. And by the way, this only lasted for like a year or two of my life. And then it was like, okay, let's like complete control. And then since then, it's like been such a non-issue. But yeah, I do give myself a lot of grace that is part of life.
Yeah.
And like you not wanting to feel different, be different, and then just accepting your individuality at a certain point of being like, okay, you know what? If we just like deal with this, sort it out, then it's totally fine. And it's actually is a non-issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that's also why I was so interested to talk to you, because you just sounded so confident about it. Like you have it down. And I'm like, okay, I need to know all the things that I don't know that I'm just kind of figuring out. So yeah, I got off of insulin. I ate really clean so I wouldn't have to do insulin. And then if for some reason I did something accidentally, I would just hop on that treadmill and keep going till it came down. And I'd have to be on there for 90 minutes sometimes.
Oh my God, but that was the thing. When I would try and do things like that, I'd be like, who's winning? Like diabetes is beating me right now. Diabetes is bigger than me. Instead, when I would do things like that and my whole existence revolved around it, it works. And I think some people, it makes them happy. And I'm sure it makes you feel good to not have to take insulin because you're doing it right. But how did that make you feel?
No, it was very, very arduous. I mean, at first I was proud and excited.
Yeah.
And then I got pancreas cancer. and then so when they sever your pancreas.
Yeah, you're like, well,
shit happens.
Yep,
and then you have to take insulin. And so then I was like on a mission to get back off of it. But it was not working right. And I forget what was happening, but at some point, the liver rescue by the medical medium came into my periphery again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I was like, is this what I'm feeling? Is this what's happening? And I got an MRI and I had all these lesions in my liver, or one lesion on my liver, maybe two at that time. And I was like, oh my God, I read up on his book. Everything I was doing to try to cure the diabetes was hurting my liver because I wasn't giving my liver any glucose. And then when you realize it, your brain and your liver need glucose.
Oh my God, your brain totally needs
I wasn't
it
even
more than
eating a
anything.
blueberry. I was like, hell no. I'm not taking insulin. I'm going to heal myself. I'm going
to beat this.
Yeah. And so then I realized, Marie, you got to switch up your game. What got you to Egypt won't get you to the promised land. So then I switched it up and I started having fruit again, like low glycemic fruit. That's good for us. And I said, all right, I'm going to give myself some grace. I'm going to have some sourdough here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see what happens. And so I learned by being in the DR healing that the sun has such a massive effect on my blood sugar.
Oh my God.
Do you notice it too? We kind
all
of
the
talked
time.
about it, I feel like.
Yeah, all the time.
So
I
summers
feel
are
like
probably better for you.
Summers are better. Also, I find it so weird. Like the trends that if you just are paying attention to your body and listening, like everything in life will show you patterns. Your body is not exempt from that, and diabetes is not exempt. But I do notice, like if I have a long set day, I have to take more insulin, and I just have to like let it go. You're inside, you're in the dark.
It's the blue light. Blue light raises your glucose.
Yes, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, all I've eaten are those like a crafty like seaweed snacks. Like there's nothing in here. Like I'm eating air and salt, like and drinking water. Like there's no reason I should be like, skewing high. But then as soon as I get in my car and I like get up, I head on my way home, I just watch it start to drop because it's like my body's like, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're going home.
Yeah, it's the
done.
stress and it's the blue light environment, which reminds me, and I forgot to put my blue light glasses on, but here we go. I'll put them on now. But I usually wear, they're really filthy. Okay. They're off for today. But that raises your blood sugar.
Interesting. I think there's so many things that nobody really talks about that just, somebody was telling me the other day that coffee can raise your blood sugar in the morning.
Interesting.
It was another type 1 diabetic.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know if it necessarily, I was thinking through it and I could be totally wrong, but my assumption with it would be if you haven't had water, it's kind of dehydrating you even more. So your body's working a little harder because I also find like water really helps everything.
Yeah. Do you have a hard time staying hydrated?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the diabetes too? It must be.
I mean,
wait, I didn't even think about that. My blood sugar, it's going up and down. But also when you're up at a certain number, it's really hard to stay at 90.
It's such a big ask when you have to like bring in third parties, to like make sure it's level. And what we were talking about the other day, like insulin short acting takes 2 hours to work. So how do you know what you're going to eat 2 hours before to like manage it exactly properly?
Wait, it takes 2 hours? Isn't the whole point you're supposed to take it like a few minutes before you eat and it's supposed to start working?
That's what they told me years ago, so I could be wrong, but it's not as fast as
there
you
is
think.
One that's faster that they just gave me.
What is it?
I think it's with an F. Fiasp, maybe? I don't know. But then I screwed up and I ended up putting in my cartridge. I put in the other one, the Novolog, accidentally. So
Novolog,
now
yeah.
I have to go back to it and remember whether
Yeah.
it works or not. But I think because our blood sugars are generally going to be more elevated than the normal person, that's why we're dehydrated. So that's why I'm realizing I've had such dehydration issues for so long. It's not just that, my body's not holding the water, my cells aren't holding the water. It's probably the diabetes.
Well, I don't know how you found out and you were diagnosed. I know when I was diagnosed, I had to go to the bathroom constantly, for probably a couple years.
That's been my life forever. I thought I just had a small bladder.
But yeah, when you're peeing all the time, essentially what your body is doing is it's trying to flush out the sugar, So if it's flushing it out, you are going to need much more water to help you out.
I got severe, deadly leg cramps.
Oh, weird.
I was at a Celtics game. Where are you from?
Ohio,
yeah. So I was at a Boston Celtics game, and it wasn't end of June, it was end of May, actually. So I'm at a Celtics game, and I'm cheering, screaming, kicking, doing the whole thing. And then I get home in the middle of the night. I wake up with, the most evil leg cramps. Have you ever had leg cramps as a diabetic?
No.
Oh my God, my dad used to get them terribly.
Really?
He still does. And so that's what kind of cued me. But imagine a rock in your leg going up and down. It was like a demon in my body. Kevin was freaking out.
That's so weird.
I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, inconsolable. There's nothing you can do. And so he took me to the...
You can't eat a banana, which is supposed to help cramps.
Yeah, no, I did. Well, I wasn't diabetic at the moment.
Oh, okay.
I did. I had 2 bananas. I had all this food. I was like, okay, my body's needing potassium probably.
Totally.
And then I had an IV person come. I'm like, I must be so dehydrated from the last flight. Had an IV person come. And then it was I could kind of walk, but I really couldn't.
Weird.
So I went to the hospital and they're like, you are type 1. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I think my sugar was maybe in the 500s, might have even been higher.
Oh my God.
And I go, no, I just had bananas and all this stuff. Of course it's high. And they're like, yeah, no, honey, you have type 1 diabetes.
You're a lot of people that don't have diabetes eat
Can
2
eat-
bananas
yeah.
and it might be 90.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, no, they probably go to 500 too.
Yeah, denial started fast, Laura. I was like, but yeah, the leg cramps are really bad. So, and I had watched my dad deal with them too. There's actually
interesting.
a really cool leg cramp juice you can get on Amazon for that. And it's an apple cider vinegar mixture that the Amish make.
Okay.
And so if you just look up cramp juice on Amazon, you can get it if you're listening and you're suffering from them. But yeah, the dehydration's always been an issue. And sometimes I remember that it's probably the diabetes and then I forget again because I blame all the travel and whatever.
Right. There's a million other things you can blame it on.
And the hard thing when you are a peer is it's usually because you're a drinker. So I always drink a lot of water. I would never have connected, being the daughter of a type 1 diabetic, I never connected that maybe there was a blood sugar issue. But also I checked mine all the time and I was always good.
Yeah.
So, I never finger pricked because I just went off my A1C.
Yeah. Which your A1C would tell you because it would consistently be high if your body's not working at maximum function.
So, okay. So you're diagnosed at 8.
At 8.
And then, you have to kind of go through the most important parts of your life with this new disease.
Well, also 30 years ago, they handled it, I'm sure, much differently than they handle it now. It was wild. I had to take 2 shots a day and I had to eat a insanely specific diet. It was down to
4 almonds and whatever.
It was 2 carbohydrate exchanges, 1 protein, 1 milk. Remember milk when that was such a thing? 1 milk, and then snack would be 1 cheese, 1 carb.
Yeah. No, I remember that from my dad.
Yeah, and I would have to do that.
Such a nightmare.
And how do you know it works? I don't know. How do you know that works for my body? I guess it's a template that worked well enough, so I can't complain. But yeah, it was definitely like interesting being on such strict diets as a kid and like your relationship with food as you grow up, especially as a girl.
Yeah.
Like that's always, when you know everything that's in everything, I don't feel like that helps anybody. I don't think that like anybody would do really well being like having to naturally hyper focus on any of those things.
Yeah.
So that's
How did
always
that
an
affect
interesting
you?
part. I mean, thank God I never had anything like diabulimia. Have you like gone down that rabbit hole
No.
of people
Diabulimia, what's the difference between bulimia and diabulimia?
It's basically where you eat and you don't take insulin, so then your body's trying to flush it out, so you get you lose weight from it, because you know when you're diagnosed you lose weight.
Hold on. So this is something that happens with type 1 diabetics? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's called bulimia?
Diabulimia.
Oh, diabulimia. Now explain that one more time to me.
So I guess what happens is essentially you just kind of eat what you want, and without taking any insulin, your body's, you know, trying to flush it out so bad. So then you end up losing a lot of weight. But the effects after, from what I've read, are insane.
Like what?
I think you can have a lot of eye issues, a lot of nerve damage. So maybe that's what you were feeling, was the nerve, like your cramping was nerve issues.
Your body it's 911ing inside. Yeah.
So anyway, thank God I never did any of that. But like, you know, it's easy to get in that loop of, I have to exercise. I have to, like, compulsively, I have to work out, or I have to do this run and I have to stick to this diet, or this is safe. These are safe foods and these aren't.
These are bad, good and bad.
Yeah, the good and bad. I definitely went down that for a while. And I mean, it's just like, it's such a terrible place to be in your head. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're like, this is good, this is bad. You didn't work out today. You have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to. And it sounds like you kind of like teetered with that for a second.
I feel like I've teetered with good and bad for sure, because I want to be healthy.
Of course.
And I want to, you know, I don't want to have any problems. So I'm like, yeah, I look at all sugar as bad. I'm not going to eat any. Do you eat sugar?
Every once in a while, but now.
Like what? Like I can have a dark chocolate because it's good for you. That's good.
It's good. Yeah, because that one's good. That one's okay.
Yeah.
I honestly can't even eat fruit. So you're lucky that you can at least eat like some blueberries. Like if I eat blueberries, I'm going to see that. So
like what will it go to?
It depends. It depends what time of day. It depends.
Like over 200?
Yeah, I definitely go over 200 sometimes.
Over 300?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
But
very rare.
It has happened. And when that does happen, I have to be like, just don't freak out, because, you know, then you start stressing out and then it goes higher and then you're stuck, instead of being like, okay, acknowledge it, take the shot, move on, don't look for 2 hours.
Yeah. That happened to me last night. It went to 303.
Oh my God. And also when you're watching it climb
and I'm sleeping and the freaking thing just rang all night.
Oh yeah. Miserable. That thing.
Oh my God, I can't even sleep with my baby because I'm going to wake her up every 2 minutes. Like that's the thing that I feel so bad for, like people who have kids, and you'll have to explain to me how you did that with kids, with a daughter, because Kevin already was like, I'm doing night duty. I was already recovering from pancreas surgery. I mean, massive abdominal surgery. There were more things that had to come out too.
Wow.
But, they took my spleen. They took 17 lymph nodes.
They're like, whatever can go.
A fibroid the size of a baby. So like I have a C-section scar without having a baby.
Yeah, you're like, cool.
So anyway, so he was like already going to do night duty, and he loves that time with her. That's his time. But even if I wanted to, my CGM is going to go off all night. CGM is a continuous glucose monitor for you non-diabetics.
AKA the Dexcom.
It's going to
there's other versions.
Go on and on and on. And so last night, my sugar was so low yesterday. So my body just shifts all the time. I don't know if yours does too, but now that I'm getting so much sun, my needs for insulin are going down. So the same thing I would do, let's say 4 units for, I really like need maybe a unit and a half.
I was going to say 1. It's so crazy. It's like not even like half.
So you see the same thing happen.
Well, I think you're also
I'm in between.
Newer in this, and it sounds like some of yourself, like mine are, I think, pretty like
Yeah.
we gave it a good run.
Yeah.
Like we did
Mine's
it.
still working a little.
Yeah, I think you have a little bit maybe that's like still on your team working in your favor. But also with being so new with it, you're still figuring out the patterns and like what those really look like, and figuring out the eating you want to do, what's safe, what's not safe, because that ultimately is like, even if we don't want to say good and bad, like there are good and bad. So
Yeah.
how to have a healthy relationship with that. And then, you know, the patterns of travel, eating, alcohol. I mean, the fact that alcohol like helps lower your blood sugar, because
Isn't
the
that
way
crazy?
it's processed through your liver, you're like, this whole thing is backwards.
Yeah.
This reward system is really like, I don't hate it, but it's not what a textbook would normally say.
Well, no, because it also screws you from drinking, let's say.
Yeah.
So, like, the one thing you probably could do and enjoy, now, I'm not, like, a big drinker, but I will occasionally.
Yeah.
So, even, like, I watch my dad. He wants to have some fun. We're going to suffer all night trying to make sure he's alive.
Oh, my
because if
God.
you get drunk, you could die in your sleep if you don't hear your monitor.
Yeah.
Right? My dad called me the other day, wasted. They had gone out to like this Greek restaurant, he goes, I had a bottle of wine Maria. Oh, I'm not drunk. I'm like, Dad, you're shit-faced.
Yeah,
You're
you
not drunk, you're
totally.
shit-faced. He's crying, laughing, and I'm having to tell our contractor friend who's back there with him, I'm like, sorry, you're not a contractor tonight, you're a nurse.
Yeah,
like,
you're
can you
a
just check
babysitter.
on him?
Yeah.
It's scary.
So yeah, sometimes, but I think if it is something like, I love a glass of wine, but I do know like if I have like a really full-bodied red, like that actually is going to maybe make it go up, which is weird.
So you'll have
then-
bread with your wine to cancel it out?
red.
Oh.
No, like if I have like a full-bodied red, like
Yeah.
that will maybe make it go up. If I have too much white, there's a little too much sugar in it.
Yeah.
But if I just have like one or two,
You're good.
I'm like,
Me too. Red wine works for me.
yeah, like that is totally fine. If I start, you know, going down like a mixed drink thing, I can't even have like a margarita.
Well, we can't because if you put juice in
But
it.
some people I see.
Well, I do the ranch water.
Yeah, totally.
I
That's
do
fine.
a ranch water, which is
That's
great.
fine.
If you guys don't know what a ranch water is, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
perfect.
tequila, club soda, and lime juice.
Sometimes
So
I
good.
ask for like
A splash of cranberry.
Like no, I ask for like a pack of stevia or Splenda and put it in, and it like
yeah.
sweetens it, but it's still like, you know, it's If everyone watches you, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I know. Let's just move on. I know this looks crazy, but I swear it tastes better than just like a tequila soda.
I know. Well, thankfully, I like sour.
Oh, that's
so I make them put 1 to 2 full limes in there.
Yeah.
I want it really sour and really, because again, you can't have sweets. You're going to go the opposite way.
Yeah, you need something.
But yeah, so like the good and the bad, it is frustrating. Like I was like, okay, I was so extreme one way. Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself grace. I'm going to have some stuff here and there, and I'm not going to be crazy about it. But when you are really good, you sleep at night because your blood sugar isn't all over the place.
Yeah, but then there's times where you're really good and you don't sleep.
I know.
Because it's like near your period or...
Oh my God, your periods go worst.
Like, and everybody...
And I get caught off guard every time.
Every time. And like, you listen to kind of the symptoms... We talked about this briefly, but like the symptoms of PMS, a lot of them are just insulin resistance, which happens to everybody.
This was a really great point. I'm so glad you're bringing this up right now.
Yeah, like,
explain this to everybody.
Everybody has some insulin resistance around their period.
Explain to them what insulin resistance is.
So insulin resistance is where your body is like working harder to, you know, the same dose of insulin basically isn't working. So whether your own pancreas is making it or you're giving yourself a shot for it, it's working harder and you're more sensitive to food. So, and that's usually why you end up craving salty, sugary foods, is because, you know, when your blood sugar is higher, you do crave those things. Mm-hmm. I don't know why, but you do. And like with
you
all
got to
of
feed
that
the
said-
beast.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I think that's the best way to explain it. So when that's happening, like everybody is going through that. And then when your blood sugar is a little higher, you're irritated. Everything bothers you. You're going to snap easier. You know, all those things that
Thanks for reminding me about that
PMS
part too.
kind of is. So we all experience that. And then we watch it when you have a glucose monitor. You're watching it and just being like, you're already on edge. You're already annoyed. You're already insulin resistant. And you're like, what the fuck? You know,
it won't come down.
Yeah, and then you're extra irritated.
And if you're hungry, you can't eat.
Yeah, totally. And then you're like, oh, everything is just like amplified and more annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that part too. And
but that happens to everyone with PMS is your blood sugar goes higher.
Yeah,
that's why you're cranky.
Yeah.
So if you can, even if like you set an alarm for like your PMS days every month and just try not to eat anything too carbohydrate heavy or sugar heavy, you won't add to the beast.
Yeah, you won't add, but every once in a while, I mean, I know people that have, let's just go on like a 4-week cycle. There are people that have, you know, week 1, their period ends. And like, if you were to look at like the
Ovia
pills.
chart?
Yeah, like, you know, if you were on the pill. It's like week 1, you're fine. Week 2 is like where you need a little less, and then you start to raise up by week 3. And then like as soon as your period starts, it all drops. But some people have to take completely different long-lasting doses, month or week by week. I know people that have that issue. So thank God I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But everybody does need to like find out what their body is into.
Yeah. I always get caught off guard. Why is my blood sugar high?
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything to deserve this. I get so mad.
I'm not doing anything.
And then I realize, oh, it's my period.
Yeah. Yeah, you always realize as soon as it's over.
So hungry.
So hungry. I'm like, this is so not fair.
Yeah. It's listen, it's like a roller coaster. And I'm glad I got to see my dad deal with it because my dad was he never complained. He never was a victim about it. He just like, he was like you, just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. But you know, I had empathy for diabetics before even being one because I just watched what a roller coaster it was. And you're never normal. If you are ever going to use that word normal,
yeah,
right? Like the average person on an average day, their blood sugar is normal. Now, do we have more insulin resistant people than ever? And do more people than ever have diabetes and not know it? Yes. And now with COVID and all that, guys, start checking your sugar. I wish I had done finger pricking. I was so afraid of it.
Totally. And you're like, it really is not. And then you like are doing shots. Now you're like, I was scared of that.
I know. My doctor was like, you should try to finger prick. And I'm like, I don't need to do that. My A1C is fine. But if I had done the finger prick and saw maybe 120 pop up, I would have been like, oh shit, this is supposed to be 90. Okay, like we Houston, we might have a problem we got to focus on. But I was so focused on the A1C, I wasn't thinking along those lines. So if you are pre-diabetic, start checking your blood sugar, guys, and think about it like the levee, because the levee's gonna break. You want to give your body a break. Like to me, it's like give it a vacation so it can regenerate. It can have its like time to heal. Maybe don't. You know, maybe some intermittent fasting is probably good too.
I mean, I basically do that with how I eat. I feel like that always works for me.
Yeah. So, I forget where I was going with this. Oh, watching my dad and having empathy. Yeah. It's a freaking roller coaster all the time. And I, as a new mom, would get really, really sad when I wanted to feed Athena. And I couldn't because my blood sugar was too low. And I was like, it's not safe to hold her. Like if I was low, I was like, I don't want to hold her and have
like get shaky,
get sweaty. Who knows? Like if it drops too fast, like I wasn't taking that risk with her. And so, or I'm about to put her to bed. I'm in the recliner and now my sugar's tanking. I have to go get juice.
Right.
So I'm like, Kevin, I have to go. You have to feed her. My heart would break. It was so painful. It still is.
Yeah.
How did you manage being a mom with type 1? And did you find it challenging?
The pregnancy was one of the only times I've ever had a low when I didn't wake up was in the middle of the night when I was pregnant. Ooh. And I know. And my kid's dad was there. Thank God. He was supposed to be away on a trip to China at like a factory. And he was like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to go. Thank God he was there. And I guess I wasn't making any sense. I don't remember any of it. And I remember like coming to, and there were like a bunch of firefighters. I was like, what? Like, what's going on here?
So low. I have the chills all the way down my body.
and-
How
and
pregnant
they
were
had
you?
I mean, it was like pretty early on, where it starts getting weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of hormones. It starts getting weird. And that's when I got on the CGM. I was like, oh my God, I'm not, because I've had it for so long. And it's like, okay, I wake up in the middle of the night, my blood sugar's low. Like, that's how it had been for so long. But yeah, no, it was crazy. And thank God.
How low was it? Did they tell you?
I think it was like 20.
Yeah.
Like something like insane.
Yeah, because I'm still operational, like even at 44. I'm like,
I'm like starting to see spots, but I'm like, okay, like I can
but
function.
sometimes like a 50 will make me sweat and shake uncontrollably. Like, it's so messed up. Like,
I know, it's not ever the same. I'm like, why do I feel insane? And I'm like 65. It's like a day 65 will throw me differently than like a night 40. A night 40, I'm like, do I have to get up and drink juice?
yes. Okay, what do you keep by your bedside?
I keep like apple juice, or sometimes I'll do coconut water. It really just depends. I mean, at this point, I know like what they're all gonna do.
Yeah, but do you do the apple squeezes, the Go-Go's?
Sometimes I'll do that during the
Go-Go's.
day, like the ones from Starbucks.
I get
like
so mad when I run out of Go-Go's in my nightstand and my sugar's low and I have to get up.
Oh my God, the getting up.
The violence I feel when I have to get up when I'm so tired and I've already woken up 50 freaking times to take juice. And then I have to go into my travel bag because I don't want to go downstairs. So I go over into my closet, I get into my travel bag, and then I have to make myself a note to replace it in my travel bag. So if I'm in my travel moment and my sugar goes low and I don't have it,
I know.
God.
I know. The middle of the night is just like, dear God, it's so frustrating.
A couple nights when Kevin had come back from a work trip, we had someone stay and do night nursing for Athena so he could get 2 nights of sleep because he was so dead tired.
Oh, yeah.
My machine went off all night. He's like, Maria, I should have just slept with Athena. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I know. And you're like, I know. And it's so loud. And like,
because you have
knows.
to.
And then it keeps getting
you'll
louder
die.
and louder and louder to the point where it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. You'll die if it doesn't go loud.
Yeah. It's crazy.
If you don't hear it, like I was alone in the DR and my sugar was going so low in the middle of the night and it wouldn't come up. Mm-hmm. I ate ice cream for the first time. I had 2 small ice creams that I got from like the comfort station they had there. I had juices, coconut water. It wouldn't come up. I'm like, I'm going to die here alone.
Well, then you're also freaking out because you're like, is this just all of a sudden, like, is this just waiting in like a waiting room? And all of a sudden it's going to be like, am I going to be 350?
Yeah. That's what happens though.
Yeah, and it does.
The waiting room.
Yeah. So, like, where is this? Where is this food? Where is this sugar? I'm confused.
Yeah.
It's here. I put it in my body.
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's supposed to go right in your bloodstream once it touches your mouth, your lips.
I'm like, they told me 15 minutes. Like 15 minutes, you'll be like back to normal. I'm like, this is taking too long.
Yeah.
Or if you've been low for too long and then you finally drink the juice, sometimes if you've been low for too long, then it will send you up. If you waited it out, that can happen.
Yeah. So sometimes when it goes so low, I panic only because of the traumas of watching my dad.
Totally.
And so I'll panic and I'll have too much. And then, the yo-yo. Oh my God. We need to take a diabetes break for a second because it's so intense. I'm going to talk about the supporters here that help us do this for a second, Laura, because Macy's, I used to work for Macy's actually.
Oh my God. I used to do Macy's. I just used to do hair for Macy's e-com back in the day.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
we
that's
love Macy's.
So funny. I love Macy's. So full circle, they're back here. They've been our biggest supporter of the show. And of course, summer's here. And I know you guys have barbecues and parties and all kinds of fun things. Even just some beach days with your family. We took Athena on her first trip and it was amazing. And I'm excited for our next trip. So I'll be starting to look at cute little outfits for her because hopefully it'll be in Greece. Stay tuned. But regardless of where we end up, I'm happy to have my friends at Macy's to help us look our best this summer. I have some really cute stuff that I put on my wish list that I think you guys will love. A really cute Trina Turk cover-up set.
Serena Turk.
Yeah, it's like a little like jacket with shorts, and it's multicolor. I'm not like a big pattern person, but this one's amazing.
Well, if you go to Greece, you need it.
Yeah, and I like black bikinis.
Yeah, who doesn't?
And it has black in it, so like that's my color, and it's fun. So check out some inspo there, guys. Use the link in the podcast description. Let me know when you end up. This next one has been a supporter for a long time as well, and I know you've used their products. You must have used Way.
Oh my God, of course.
Okay.
We love Way.
Okay, so
we love Jen.
We love Jen.
She was quite the pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like everybody wants to be Jen, and myself included.
Aw. It's always nice when people who do the same thing have admiration for each other. I always think that's special. Like rather than being jealous or...
I think she was always so kind and like generous and not insecure. Like she was very confident with like where she was and where she stood, that it was always nice to, you felt really supported when she supported you. Yeah. And then she was always kind and you could always ask her questions. I mean, she referred me to Kim back when I was still living in New York and started coming to LA. So she really helped me with my career. I have nothing but great things to say.
That's so cool. Do you find that the people who are most confident are generally the ones who are just kind and nice and helpful like that?
Of course. I mean, confidence is everything. And in a job, like even I'm sure in your job, in my job, like we kind of are disposable, you know, like there are so many other hairstylists you could choose from. So to get picked or is always a good feeling, but like how you handle the not getting picked, I think really says a lot about you. And it's easy to get like, oh, I didn't like the hair that person did. Da, 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 da. You know, it's easy to be rude to the person that got the job instead of you. But if you're just like, okay, no problem, and like feeling good and feeling confident and like moving on and like whatever, maybe that job wasn't for me, then those kind of people I think are always the most genuine kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny because in my career, I never like thought that I could pick people. So for the longest time, like whenever I had a photo shoot, my publicist just picked people. I had no idea. And
really?
And then people would be like, oh, like, I'd love to work with you again. I'm like, oh yeah, that'd be great. I was so clueless. I had no idea.
And like, you don't know exactly. Like you don't know.
I could have hurt so many people's feelings along the way and had no clue.
Yeah. And also there are people that, you know, they're like, that is my first choice, but maybe the publicist wants somebody else for other reasons. There's so many other factors that can like play into why you do or don't get picked. Yeah. Anyway, but Way, we love Way.
We love Way.
And her branding is insane.
Yeah. So Way I found for my husband first. I tell people all the time. I tell everyone on the show all the time. He needed something for his hair. And I was like, oh, let's try this. I actually didn't know anything about it at the time.
Yeah.
And so I got him the leave-in hair conditioner because that's what he wanted, and then a hair oil. And then it looked so cute. I kept like kind of gravitating over there and I would try it and I'm like, whoa. So I wonder, I use the oil on my ends when it's wet and then I dry my hair. Have you tried that yet?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't like oil in my own hair because it's too fine, but in other people's hair, yeah, if they have like thicker hair, I think it always leaves like a nice smooth end result.
I really like it.
And their oil is really light.
It is.
Yeah, it's super light. Like that makes all the difference.
Yeah,
like,
Moroccan oil is what I used to use and it's a little heavier.
That is a specific type of hair. Like the Way oil you can use with anybody.
Yeah. So pretty cool, guys. So obviously that's my hack, was the hair on the tips, but it's a really great distinction to make because if someone's listening to this and they have thinner hair and they're trying it, they're like, Maria, what are you talking about?
No,
everybody's hair is different.
My hair, if I put, I cannot, if I put too much oil in, or even like sometimes I can put a little bit, but you'll see that there's oil in my hair.
So what do you do? What products do you use from Way?
Or
how do you like to use them?
I just use the leave-in.
The leave-in conditioner.
Yeah, I'll just use leave-in.
Right after you shower, put the leave-in.
Put a leave-in and I let my hair air dry.
Do you put it at the ends or all over?
Mostly the ends, But also you have to be careful because you come out of the shower and your hair is like all the way back, and a lot of people just start spraying here. But really what you're getting when you do that is you're just getting the front, so that can make it look like greasy.
Yeah.
But if you kind of like focus lower and shake it as you do it, then you're going to actually get like this hair back here.
Yeah.
And not just the front.
Interesting.
So then as you brush it out, it's more evenly distributed.
Got it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. If you're eager to elevate your hair care routine, you can try out some Way hair products. Go to theway.com. Use the promo code Heal Squad and you get 15% off. Look at that. All right, back to diabetes, guys.
Back to diabetes, yeah.
Hair and diabetes.
Yeah, all the things that really don't make sense together, but they kind of do in some ways.
Well, if your hair feels good, you'll feel good.
It's true. That's the truth. So your dad struggles with lows.
Yeah. So my dad has been type 1 for, oh my God, he's our role model. Okay. He's our hero. He has been type 1 diabetic. He turns 80 this December, and he's been type 1 since he was like 20.
Yeah.
So like 60 years.
I think my dad was like 20 when he got it.
Really?
Yeah.
And how is your dad doing?
He's great. Honestly.
He's your role model.
Yeah. We used to do like funny things when I was younger. He'd be like, okay, what's your blood sugar? And we'd like have little competitions.
We do the same thing.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys have been the same at times, right? Have you guys been the same?
Like rarely, but
oh my God, my dad and I are the same all the time.
That's interesting.
And we cry laughing, or like 1 point off. I'd be like, I'm 70. He's like, I'm 71 or whatever. Like,
oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we would have like it made it easier. It always makes it easier.
It did.
Even if like you don't want to talk about it, like as a kid, I mean, as an adult, and your show is Heal Squad, so like you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But as a kid, you don't really, you're like, I just wish it wasn't here, and I don't really want to talk about it. But it was nice having somebody who kind of made you a little bit like gently, and then B, when you did want to. And like we kind of bounce things off each other, especially him living in Ohio and he loves to cook, how he's kind of like switched up the things he will cook. Because we used to just eat like pasta every night. I'm like, I can't eat pasta.
he ate pasta as a type 1?
Well, he was born at 1.5 for a long time.
No way.
And then it switched to
1.
Yeah, and then it switched to 1. But he was 1.5 for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
He fucked with the levy.
maybe don't tell him that. I'm like
The pasta.
maybe, but he kind of loves. He really loves like. We'll like have dinner all together, and he'll have his like phone out with his like blood sugar thing, and then he'll have his Omnipod thing, and he like will like take a bite and look at it.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, he kind of likes it. I think it like really. I feel like he likes when he's doing a good job, and I think he always really does do a good job.
Yeah.
Like, and I appreciate too, like if he's like, well, what the heck? I'm 250. Like, what is going on? And him and I have similarities where I'll be like, dude, my blood sugar is just off. Like, I don't know what's going on. And usually that happens around like when the weather changes, which we've noticed over the years, like the barometric pressure changes. And all of a sudden I'm like things aren't working the same, or I'll have like a week or two where I'm just like, I don't know what else to chalk this up
Yes.
to.
No, that happens, I think, in the fall for me.
Yeah, in the fall.
Because I was so depressed this fall. I'm like, what the hell is happening?
What is it? And like him and I will call. He's like, is it happening to you? I'm like, it just started. He's like, I'm like day 3 of this. And
oh my God, wait, will we call each other now?
Yeah.
I'm going to call you and then you'll make me feel better.
I'll be like, it's fine. It's not. But sometimes you need someone
You
who's
need
like,
that.
especially people that like are in tune and like to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much more under the surface that like a book's not going to teach you. And honestly,
and your endocrinologist,
doesn't know. Yeah, like my endocrinologist when I lived in New York, I was like, I know I sound insane, but like my period came early. It was like a crazy full moon. She's like, whatever, Laura, like, your body. It was way before like anyone was into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, whatever, girl, like, your body. If that's like what was messing you up, then we're going to go with it.
Yeah, they're like, that wasn't in my textbook.
Yeah. So it's always
full
nice
moon.
too.
Let me look at page 42. Nope, full moon isn't there.
Nope, not there. They're like E, F. Nope, not there.
So your dad was there for you. And that was another thing that really helped me is I had my dad and it broke my heart. I really wanted to like figure out a way to build a center for diabetics. So when they're newly diagnosed, you could go there for the first week or two.
Yeah.
And you're around other people, so you know how to deal with it. Because I was in the hospital and they told me this, and then they shipped me off with all this shit. And I'm like, I don't know how to do any of this. And now you're panicked. You're going to go low. You're going to go high.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening, and you don't know how to use anything.
You
Thank
don't
God,
know.
Crystal, my pharmacist in Canterbury, she was amazing. And she was helping me learn because she was learning kind of on the job too with some of the pens, the insulin pens and stuff. It was really frustrating. And then with the CGM, my dad had been doing it forever. So I have video of him putting it on me for the first time. And it was like traumatic. He just like smashed me like, like, what do they call it? Baptism by fire. He just, I'm like, Dad, could you just be gentle?
Oh my God. I remember my mom giving me shots when I was a kid and she was so nervous. She felt bad, and so she'd be shaking and like go really slowly. I'm like, honestly, if you just played darts, it'd be better. Like, this is just like, this is miserable. Like, I can do it. Like, I think like within like a couple months, I was like, I got it. Like, this is too much for you.
So
but yeah, all those things where you're like, whoa, is this how this is supposed to go?
Yeah, it's wild. Okay, so I have to ask you, like I carry my insulin bag. Do you have like an insulin bag?
Yeah, I have my shots in my purse.
You carry it in your
I know
purse?
I'm supposed to keep them cold, but
you never really do.
As long as if I take them to the beach, like I put them in a cooler.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like they are not, if they touch the sun like that, then I'm never gonna leave them in the car, especially right now. Like they would just boil.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my purse has seemed to be fine for me. I know that's not what they say, but it seems to work.
But then for me, I have to have needle tips. Where do you put your needle tips?
I don't really change mine.
Oh my God, I wasn't either for a while. And then I realized I wasn't getting my full doses. Like I was really bad. The needles, and then the needles were so dull, they were hurting like hell.
Yeah. If that happens, but I'll like if I go like a day or two. I know. I'm like I've had it for so long.
Wait, but my dad,
I'm not doing this every single time. But I remember when I did. It was a long time ago, but I used to.
It's a pain in the ass. But my dad was the one who taught me the bad habit. Because he was like you. He'd been doing it forever. He's like, don't change. I go, Dad, you might get an infection. This is very bad. You need to use the alcohol pad. He's like, forget about it.
Oh my God, the alcohol. I haven't had to use an alcohol pad in like 100 years.
Right? So then when I realized that maybe my sugar was high because of that, I started changing the needle tips and things got a little better. So I have my...
you have the whole situation.
I have a whole kit in here. So I put my...
Do you have your little...
This thingy that gives you sugar if you inhale it.
Oh, I don't even know this.
Yeah, it's like instead of a glucagon shot, if you go low, you can inhale this. P.S. I don't even know how to use it, but I guess if the moment comes, I'll know.
I mean, how much better than a glucagon shot, though?
I've got my needle tips in here.
Yep.
I've got my insulin pen.
Which one's that? Oh, that's
the Medtronic one.
I don't know this one.
You don't have this? The automated one?
No, what does it do?
It goes right to your phone. So it like logs everything. It's connected to my CGM. So like everything just says...
What?
It calculates my dose. You don't calculate your dose?
Well, yeah, but I've had it for so long, so I know like what to do.
Oh no,
I don't have to like...
Mine, I can plug in, my sugar's 156. And then I'll say I'm having 30 carbs. So I'll put 30 and then it'll say take 2 units.
Yeah, but I would just be like, I'm taking 2 units.
I'm dead.
Yeah, like I'm like, that's 2 units. Like you were gonna say, I'm like, 2 units.
I mean, now I'm learning it.
But what a nice tool when you're newer at it.
Yeah, but
like,
also like I'm a nerd, so I'm like I don't want to even guess. Like it's perfect for me. And now I'm like I'm so used to it. Maybe I'll get to that place at some point. And then I have my inhaler in case something happens. I've got my package of stevia.
Honestly, that's what I need more of.
I've got a dark chocolate, God forbid. I've got a hydration packet just in case. Mm-hmm. Some Band-Aids. Oh, I have a spare needle just in case.
I definitely, I keep those because sometimes, especially when I go to the beach, if sand gets in any of them, like then they don't work. Yeah. And I'm like, and if it's my long lasting, like you can't like throw away a shot.
Yeah.
Humalog, I can throw away shots of I have so many because.
Wait, you front load your shots and just take it with you?
What do you mean?
Can I see what?
Oh, no. Like I'm saying if I go to the beach and it gets like clogged with sand, the
pen?
The pens won't work.
The pen gets sand in it even if it has a cover?
Where you turn it.
Oh.
So then you can't press the button. It'll get like
that's never happened to me.
Sand.
I always put it in a little cooler packet.
But every once in a while, like it'll happen. And like if that happens with my long lasting, like I need that one.
Yeah.
My Humalog, I have plenty of extra, but like my Levemir, I need it.
Wow.
So that one it's like sometimes I'll have to have like an extra needle or, like a proper shot and do it.
So much long lasting do you take?
The one I take it's called Levemir, and I think it's meant to work for like 16 hours as opposed to the 24. And I think you're on the
I'm on Tresiba, which I think is the 24.
Like is that one? That's not the 36-hour one.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's 24.
Yeah. So I was on Lantus forever, and then when I got pregnant, they said you couldn't take Lantus. And I'm like, this whole time, like you can't, like that's the one they like, because you call your pharmacist and they're like, oh well, we won't cover that one. We're gonna cover Lantus, and I'm like, you can't even take it when you're pregnant. Why are you like making us all take this? That one doesn't work for me. Anyway, that's a different story. But so
the pharmacy is a nightmare all the time.
Oh my God, it's such a nightmare.
Thank God I have new pharmacists here in LA that are just awesome.
Yeah.
And they love me because I'm the only one who's nice in there.
Totally. Everyone's like, how much longer?
Everybody else is like so angry and mean and whatever to them. And they think that they're very entitled, let's just say.
Totally.
And so they are very helpful with me, thank God. But before it was really hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like, I don't want to call my insurance company. I'm already giving them so much money. Why do I have to call them now too? Anyway, but so my Levemir only lasts for like 16 hours, which for me is really helpful because I take 24 during the day.
24 units.
Yes, of long lasting to cover me during the day. And then at night, sometimes I take up to 4 units because I need nothing at night because that's when I'm bottoming out. And for the past like 3 weeks, I don't know, like since summer, which is funny, I don't need anything at night.
Interesting. That might be a better strategy for me because my sugar's going low more often than not at night. Mm-hmm. And if I do that, I'm going to talk to my doctor about that. I think that might be better. Okay, so 24 and 4, that's 28. And then during the day, you're doing like how much of your short acting? Depends on what you eat, but like 20 units a day?
No.
10 units a day?
I would say like 5 units max.
Got it. Because you have so much of the long. Like I only do 8 for my 24 hours.
Yeah.
So that's 20 units less.
That's, yeah.
I think I do like 23 units total of all insulin a day.
Yeah, because I would say I'm like 24 is like where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so interesting because everybody needs such different things.
Well, because it just depends too. Like I'm still producing a little bit of insulin. It looks like I haven't checked my C-peptide in a minute, but I was meditating my C-peptide up.
Oh, cool.
My C-peptide was 0 and I got it to a 1.1.
Wow.
Because I would visualize the number and then I visualized my A1C down from whatever stupid number it was. I got it down to a 5.3.
Wow, great. That's awesome.
Not now, but that was before pancreas surgery.
Yeah, I was going to say, were they concerned about the 5.3? Because sometimes they get concerned, like worried it's too many lows.
Yeah, no, because I was off insulin.
Right.
At the time.
Right.
So I was so good.
Good. Girl, that good versus bad will it'll start like sinking into your psyche. So
it's a lot. It's a lot to like be so focused. And for someone like me who's had to be so focused on health, it was just like a lot. So it's been nice. Sourdough is the only bread that I've had. Although when my family was in town for Athena's christening, I did get introduced to Dave's Bread English muffins.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. And my dad was making us these breakfast sandwiches that were crack.
Yeah.
But that was fine. That didn't hurt me. But you can't have white flour, right?
I eat gluten-free. Yeah, I can't do it.
It just is... You can't eat pizza either, right?
I'll do like the cauliflower crust pizza. No, I like really like am pretty
There's
strict
so much
gluten-free.
sugar.
Yeah. But sometimes if it's like the rice sugar or the rice flour, that will mess me up too. Rice really messes me up.
Yeah.
And I mean, I wouldn't even know about flour because I haven't done it in
But
over
was
10
that
years.
because of the diabetes or because you have a
Honestly, it
gluten
was-
intolerance?
I have no idea if I even have a real gluten intolerance, but I would show up to set, have like one mini croissant and be like, I can't button my pants. Like I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, let's just cut this out. And like, I don't want to, leave work and I'm going to go to a party and like, I look like chubby. Like I don't want to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So that was honestly the reasoning way back when, but I do find it helps, when you don't reach for the bread basket because it's off limits. But that's again another good bad thing that like I do that works for me. So when I'm out to dinner, I'm not gonna, accidentally eat a bunch of bread because I'm hungry. Like I don't think about
Yeah.
it, so I don't do it.
Yeah, if you see me eating bread at dinner, it's because my sugar's low, and I'm like,
I mean that's different.
let's have some bread to get this up a little
Which,
bit.
by the way, is so fun when that happens, when you start like seeing it's low. I'm like, I'm gonna order the pasta, or like when I like leave a workout class and I know I'm near like a moon juice and I'm like, I'm gonna go get the green shake. I'm gonna go get that smoothie because I can.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I can't do it.
I know.
So sometimes you're like,
The lows,
okay.
I do get excited if it's a good low, like a 60.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, oh, I could have something.
Something.
I can have a little dark chocolate or whatever.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Have you had you had one scary low when you were pregnant? Have you had any side effects of the diabetes? Because now you've had it for how many years, you said?
30.
30 years?
Yeah, just about 30. No, I wouldn't say that.
Your vision's perfect, you told me.
I know. I can see
Mine too.
everything. Yep. What does that say? The Every Girl's Guide to Cooking.
Damn, that's
Yeah,
far away.
That's pretty
Okay.
far away. I can read fine, which is great. I don't have any like weird nerve things. My kidneys full function. My liver is. So I would say, knock on wood,
Yeah.
we're all good. But my A1Cs for years have been like highest, like 6.1.
Yeah, my dad
So,
too.
like-
because you eat well. I'll tell you, my dad is a specimen because of the diabetes,
Yeah.
and will be healthier because of the diabetes.
Yeah.
So when my cousins got diagnosed, I was like, I know they're kids and this sucks so bad, but in the long run, if they do it right, they'll be healthier. It's hard, but
There's other things about, I would say, getting it as a kid. There's obviously pros and cons, but when you get it as a kid,
there's so many cons when you're a kid, but still.
I feel like honestly a couple more pros.
Really?
Yeah.
Please share.
Because I didn't have to make any. I mean, I had to make life changes, but you're making life changes at a time when you are already, everything's changing already.
Good point.
So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, now you can't have this, but you can have this, and so they just become patterns that you exist with forever. So you don't have to feel as bad that you can't have one thing or whatever it might be.
But
It
like
just
cakes
becomes
at parties?
like easier. What?
Parties, like cakes at parties and
Oh,
stuff.
that's all the moms in LA don't let their kids have cakes at parties now.
But you did it.
That's like,
But in Ohio,
yeah,
you had.
but it's then every once in a while
Athena had
there'd
a sugar-free cake. I'm not gonna lie, for her
Oh my
first
God.
birthday.
Oh yeah, and like
It was great.
No, the like sugar-free anything back in the day was like
Terrible.
disgusting.
I know,
It was
we're
just,
so
like,
lucky
straight
now.
Aspartame. I was like, oh, oof. But then you just like, instead of feeling bad about it, you don't really acknowledge it and you just brush over it. You're like, okay, like not gonna have cake, or like maybe I'll have a bite and like keep it moving.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like a focal point, or I can or I can't, or how do I substitute it with like the knowledge that I do know, but I'm just learning it as an adult. So I think that's a lot of times when I would see type 2s struggle, is because it's like it's too much change later in life, especially when they're a lot older.
Too
I
many
think that's a
habits that
big-
are formed. You're right.
Totally. And like to take away the things that bring people joy, like, a lot of type 2s like their sweets. Like to take that away as the type 2, that to me seems a lot harder than making changes when you're still learning things.
Yeah. It's a
If
good
that makes
perspective.
sense.
Yeah.
And then I also feel like I would not have the success that I have in my life had I not gotten type 1, because from such a young age, you are responsible for taking care of yourself. and keeping yourself alive in a way that the average person doesn't have to do, Like, so then you're like, I've already, had enough highs, lows, these kind of things, enough scares that like when it became time to move to New York, it wasn't scary.
Yeah.
Like those kind of things like aren't scary, where especially in a place like Ohio, a lot of people, especially at that time, didn't like to leave because it's comfortable, it's easy.
Yeah.
So.
And you have a lot of discipline.
Exactly. It's like, I definitely know how to enjoy life. I know how to have fun, but I know how to not go too far.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think a lot of people have a hard time with.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of huge positives that come from getting it as a kid. And it's a very strong way to develop a sense of self if you use it properly.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
Well, you're making decisions on your own. You're forming ideas on your own. Like the things doctors would tell me and my mom would buy it and I'd be like, what? Like that doesn't make sense. And like forming your own opinions, kind of seeing bigger pictures differently, understanding that everything is not so linear. It's like, this book says this. Actually, the book can say that, but this works differently. Kind of understanding just how things move in a way that isn't taught. That's life experience.
I love that. Yeah. I think, how old is your dad?
Oh my God, 64?
64. And he's had type 1 for how long?
I think he got it at like 20. So
40-ish years.
Yeah, 40 something years.
Okay. And he doesn't have any side effects either.
No, he's fine.
So what I love about this is you get to hear, both of our parents have lived very full, great lives.
Yeah.
With this. I know it's a pain in our balls. I don't even have balls and my balls hurt. but it is something that is manageable.
It's totally manageable. But I have a lot of compassion for the spot that you're in right now when it's new and you're still on the roller coaster of emotions about it. Mm-hmm. And you're not in the place of like, myself, your dad, my dad, we're like, it's here. It's like, it's here.
This is it. Like, I know I'm still in the I'm going to beat it phase.
Yeah, I'm going to beat it phase.
Yeah, and I believe
you're still in the like, this is good, this is bad.
Yeah, and too. I believe I can, and I believe I will.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like when my mom was dying, I was like, Mom, we don't know how this story ends.
Right.
So I'm not going to give up hope, but I'm also not going to be unrealistic. I'm going to prepare both paths so I'm ready for whichever. This way I'm not, devastated.
Right.
And setting myself for failure. So I'm kind of walking that path now where I'm like, listen, I believe I can, I believe I will, but I'm also going to be patient with myself. I'm going to have that sourdough like I did this morning. I had a piece of sourdough toast, and I'm not going to be so crazy about it because I also know that no extreme is good. And so if the extreme that I was living for that time to prove that I could heal it was maybe hurting my liver, that's not worth it to me. Because my dad is living a very healthy life and doing his insulin shots and he's fine. What I wanted to know, like there are so many things I'm sure I'm still going to have to ask you.
Yeah.
You're going to be my new bestie. Just don't know it yet. But is what I was most panicked about was seeing those 200s more frequently than I had before.
I know, that was one of the first things you said to me.
Yeah, because I'm afraid. I don't want to get sick.
Does it ever go above 200? I'm like, yes, like for sure. I mean, that happens. And like, instead of focusing on it, give yourself the shot, give it 2 hours.
That's the thing I didn't know is like, it's going to take 2 hours to bring this thing down. Do you do multiple shots when it's that high? Like I will keep jabbing and jabbing and jabbing. Like, let's go. I didn't know that I had to wait 2 hours.
Yeah, I think, and check with whatever,
everyone's different and their
your doses
different.
And your metabolism, how fast things are going to work. But, it's not instant. It's not as fast as sugar is supposed to work for a low. So with that said, you can't operate on the same timeline. And when you do get stressed about it, it's only going to make it higher. It's going to make it stay there. It's going to, it's going to make it worse. So why bother?
Do you know the other thing I panicked about when I got diabetes is they said you can't get pedicures.
Oh my God. And you can't go in hot tubs. That was my favorite as a kid. They'd be like, I don't think you can go in this hot tub like on spring breaks. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, well, you have diabetes. I'm like, oh my God.
But why? Why do they say that?
I feel like it's one of those things that because, there was that whole thing for a long time about, you could like lose a leg or because I think it's nerve damage. I don't know.
Okay.
But,
that you might not feel your foot with the heat and all that.
Yeah. I think I could be totally wrong, but I think it has something to do with like, when the hemoglobin attaches to your blood cells, it's hard to get all the way to here, and if they get like kind of stuck if you're running high for too long, or your feet, those are your furthest extremities, then you can run into issues, have nerve damage, not be able to feel things.
Got it.
Right. Okay. So
we're fine.
You can't get a pedicure if you're maybe in that spot, but I don't think you're there, and I don't think you'll ever be there.
No, they were like, oh my God, if you get a cut, you'll get infected.
It's never gonna heal. I'm like,
and I watch my dad. He's an animal. He's like, he'll drill his finger into the wall, pull it out, not even put any hydrogen peroxide on it, whatever. He's like a beast.
Yeah, it's so fine. Yeah,
but they scare you.
No, they really scare you. When I got diabetes, the doctors, which their bedside manner is so much better now, but their doctors would be like, well, if you don't take care of this, you could go blind or lose a leg or have kidney failure. Yeah. And that starts in 10 years. And I'm like, so like, I'm still going to be like in high school and like, what? Like they would say like crazy stuff that obviously they don't say now. But
so crazy.
And also you're going to go through a bunch of hormonal changes in that time, in those 10 years. Like it's impossible to keep it. Like it's actually,
that's going to be the next thing is menopause and diabetes. Like what's that going to be like? Is that going to be a shit show?
I don't know. I think
you're
it's
further away than me, but I'm like, still.
It's probably going to be like a wave of, and then it's going to settle out. And, I would imagine there would be a change of how much insulin you would need to take, whether that's higher or lower, hopefully lower, but
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always do find a correlation between how much insulin I'm taking and my weight.
So the more insulin you take, the heavier you get, right?
I find like, if I start having to raise it.
Why are people losing weight on Ozempic?
Well, Ozempic isn't insulin.
It's not. Okay.
It's not. Yeah, Ozempic is not
But I
insulin.
thought it had an insulin component to it.
I don't know.
It's a different kind of insulin, I think. No?
No, it's definitely not an insulin, but it has, I'm blanking on what exactly it is that kind of like glues things together and makes it work more properly. But I went down a Reddit hole. I love all of my diabetes questions I ask Reddit because there's like forums of like people that have gone through experiences and share it. So they'll kind of give you more honest answers and you can take and leave pieces. But I went down a whole thing. I'm like, can type 1s take Ozempic? Like, if it's lowering how much long lasting you need to take, that's what everybody on it was saying. It's like, it's helped with insulin resistance and it's helped with how much long lasting they need to take. Wow. Obviously, the big fear is you would have a lot of lows. But then if you don't need any long lasting, I can't see that.
But Ozempic is like tearing holes in people's intestines and in their stomachs and doing all kinds of terrible stuff, I heard. Apparently.
They say.
Reportedly.
I wonder what that's going to look like a couple
Do you do your shots in public? Or do you go to the bathroom?
I'm pretty discreet about it, though.
Yeah.
I'm very, like right now, I would do it like right here and like no one would really notice.
Yeah. I stopped going to the bathroom at some point. I was like, F this. I can't do it every time.
You are so close to not changing that pen needle.
No, I've already been there. No, my dad already trained me in properly. Oh my God. My pharmacist, Crystal, was like, Maria, you've got to change the needle tip. You're probably not getting your dosage.
I know.
And I was like, oh my God, no wonder it hurts so bad. Because
yeah,
it was
you
really
have
bad.
to change it sometimes.
No, it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. But I'm just I just kind of pull my thing down a little, my pant, and just jab and go. I'm like, I'm not making special trips to the bathroom every time I need to do a shot.
And also you're trying to be discreet and you end up more obvious because you're taking pens with you or your pouch and it's everybody knows what you're about to go do.
Yeah. I was at a wedding this weekend and I just told my friend, I go, you cover me. I was at the bar.
Yeah.
Cover me. I lifted my dress up.
A little turn.
I hit my hip. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're done.
Yeah. Please just hide me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those kind of things they just start becoming your part of your day to day and you're like, whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
Nobody cares. I would do them when I lived in New York, on the subway and no one would even look. And if they did, maybe if somebody saw, they'd be like this.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, do people think I'm doing Ozempic?
If they did, it'd be
or
a compliment,
heroin. Yeah.
I used to think people would think do I look like I'm shooting up drugs?
Yeah.
Especially on the subway, not great, but
yeah.
No, never.
I think that all the time.
Funny.
Even when I did IVF, I didn't shoot up in public. I was terrified. I was terrified to even do the shot back then. So I had a nurse come help me because it was too much work to figure out all the dosages and how to do it and do all of that. So I was like, I'm working 20 hours a day. I need somebody to just come give me the shot. Just for the week it is, come do it and I'm done.
But aren't those shots more intense and bigger?
They were, yeah.
Yeah, I can't watch if a doctor has to give me a shot. I can't watch when they have to draw blood.
Really?
I cannot look. I'm like,
oh my God.
I think it's so gross.
I've had so many disastrous, not disastrous, but health things where I'm like, take me. What do you need?
Oh, I can't look. I'll be I'm sweating. I can't look. Yeah, sweating. Ooh. But the shot's no problem.
Yeah.
But a big shot, no.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to ask you, and I know we're going to transition into hair soon at some point.
At some point. We can make it quick.
Yeah, but the other thing I was going to ask you is the we were just about to talk about it, and I forgot
big
now.
Shots. Having to do shots.
Oh, you're still doing shots rather than a pump.
Yeah,
I want to know more.
Room for all the hardware.
Yeah, because you have your CGM too.
That's kind of the truth. I don't want to be a walking robot. I would be more open to it. It's too much.
Now we'd have one on each arm or one arm, one hip. I was like, where am I going to put this thing?
My stomach, I already my stomach already has weird wrinkles in it from giving myself shots for so long.
Yeah.
I'm already not feeling as confident as I would like to in a bathing suit. And I know it's just scar tissue. So listen, when you've had it long enough, you have to let everything go. You're like, okay,
yeah,
whatever. It is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But I don't want to have to walk around and I still want to look sexy. I still want to feel sexy. And that really does kind of take away from it.
I don't want to have more supplies to deal with. Yeah. My pen is good for a year. I don't have to deal with it for a year. And then I get my other pen for the nighttime shot. Easy. To get something with more pharmacy visits and more supplies, every 3 days having to change it.
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't.
3 days.
I can handle myself better than, let's say, my dad, who has built these patterns in where he's just always going low.
My dad loves his Omnipod too.
Yeah. Loves it. It's great for him. And as I've almost given into the fact that this might be my forever, I've almost gone on it to help me stabilize because it's been such a roller coaster. But every time I think, okay, I'm just going to do it. At first I wouldn't do it because I was like, no, it's harder to get off of that. The needles are easy. Remember, you just slowly took less and less and less, and then it went away. But I was like, where am I going to put this thing?
Where am I going to put this thing? What?
Yeah.
Another thing too, I've talked to another friend of mine, and she has type 1. She models. She's really thin, and I was like, "Do you hate the pump?" And she's like, "When I was on the pump, honestly, it's just it's easy to keep pressing the button and overdo it. Then you start getting a little bigger and
not
not
interesting."
I do care about that. Like, I don't
but the
want to
shots make you question a little bit more.
Yeah, you have to like intentionally be like,
not going to eat right now.
Is that worth this?
Yes.
You know, like a button, like, is it really worth it? Like, I have to do that. So I think it is more mindful. And I do find that women tend to be more intentional with the way they eat and, you know, with all the steps to it and the other factors, the bigger picture, whereas men can be a bit more like, okay, pressing the button.
Yeah.
Okay, that's easier. It's simpler. Like, men are in general simpler. So like, they prefer simpler. We like the complex big picture. And I think I've seen that pattern in other type 1s that I know.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And I'm thinking about like all the extra insulin I'm doing because I mean, I was on like 0. I mean, I had like,
I know.
I was taking nothing a day.
I know.
But
and now you just
I have
feel
these like literally like handles on the sides of my hips.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did these come from? Oh, it's from all the insulin.
Oh, yeah, great. I know.
I don't care. It is what it is.
It is what it is. But yeah, I have like the little ripples here. But I got a dent here on my butt. From like,
the shots.
Yeah, from like the tissue. Because I mean, over 30 years, like even if I do switch it up all the time, there's only so many spots.
True. My dad has pooches, like these soft jelly like pooches.
Yeah.
From where he injects. So I knew not to like go to my stomach, and my stomach hurts a little bit more.
Yeah.
My left hip is like my spot.
I know. This part's
my
so
right
easy.
hip, no. My right hip hurts so bad. So my
Weird.
left hip behind my arms.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your spots.
Oh my God.
But I would definitely discourage from here because that part, especially on a girl after having a baby, is never quite as tight as it was before. And it's just like you start seeing it.
All right, friends, that is it for part 1. I hope you tune in tomorrow for part 2 of my conversation where we talk about being a type 1 mom. We also really get into beauty industry talk because she is a top hairstylist here in Hollywood and has worked with some of the greats. And so we're going to talk all about her favorite hairstyle tips, her secrets, and so much more. See you tomorrow. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.